Marzoff with Culture Engineered, and this month we're talking about workplace investigations. And today we're talking about how to actually receive the claim or report, incident, what you want to call it, how to actually receive that so you can conduct a great and thorough investigation. So let's get started. The first thing that you need to do in collecting the information is to let the person talk. Now I say talk, but this might be maybe they're more comfortable chatting, or maybe they're more comfortable with an email or talking via video chat or by phone. Ideally you want them face to face because it's a lot of back and forth, so email is not obviously desirable for, beyond the initial tip. Maybe you get notified and then the person agrees to chat with you in an interactive way. And you just let them go. This is often let them go as far as just share with you their concerns and what happened. It's not uncommon for this to be a highly emotional, not very logical way of telling their story, but it's really important to their experience. It's really important to move past this phase, so you don't want to push too quickly in getting information you want to pick and choose out of their story. First let them tell it their way, and then gradually get in with the questions once the energy has kind of come down a little bit. And then that's the second part, is put them at ease. So if they come to you very guarded, you'll probably have to do this first before they then go in this rant and share what happened. But put them at ease. So this includes like giving some empathy statements, like, you seem very upset, and obviously this was very frustrating to you. Please, take your time, share with me what happened. And making eye contact, showing concern, give them some tissue, these types, if they're crying, these types of things are really important, because the more at ease they are, the better you're going to be able to communicate about their concerns. So getting them at ease is important, which maybe comes on to step 3 when you explain the process. So, although most of us have had something happen at work that we're not happy with, not every workplace does investigations the same and has a very solid complaint process or a feedback process. So really explain to them how it works, and no matter what, you want to understand what happened, and you understand that mistakes and issues happen in your business as well as every other business all the time, and it's only by asking about those, talking about those, and resolving those issues that you can really become a better business. Ask for their help. So you should be on the same team, because again, you and the person want to resolve the conflict. So keep that in mind and ask, how can I, can you help me? So for example, a lot of times people are very nervous to give witness names. Because they don't want to drag their friends through the mud. So again, you explain the purpose of an investigation and then say, okay, well, knowing that I really need to talk to this person, do you think that do you see any way I could approach them in a way that they're not thinking you came to me with this complaint? How do you propose I can approach them? Did someone else see? Do you feel other employees are upset by this issue? Chances are yes. And so that way you could say, okay, so if I just don't say your name, or I don't say this is based on your coming to me today, do you feel comfortable with me approaching them and asking about these incidents? And usually the answer would be yes. So again, you really need to make sure that you're fleshing out those concerns and getting on the same page to resolve the conflict. Not necessarily on the same page as you see it exactly as they do. It's just, again, understanding what their concerns are, what happened, and who you need to talk to and how that goes. The fourth step, or the fourth tip then, is to ask what they need to feel comfortable moving forward. So if the person's manager said something very derogatory to them or about them and embarrassed them, and at the end of the day, they just don't want that manager to say those things anymore, or they want the manager to apologize for this. It's important for you to know that. I think a lot of times we go and do disciplinary action or whatever it might be, training, but we never have the manager apologize. Or maybe they don't care about the training. We need to know what that person needs that feels very disconnected at that moment from the organization. That's super important. So ask. And then the 15th thing, you need to advise them of a time frame and how it's going to move forward. So they've gone through all of it. They've given you the details you need to do the investigation, names, all that good stuff. Now, again, just as you would do it with the customer service call, confirm what you're doing. Like, I'm going to do this. It'll take the next 2-3 days. In that process, please know that I will communicate with everyone that they are not to come to you. If you're upset with your manager, I will communicate to them that they are not to come to you about this issue. So that kind of helps ease their concerns. Sometimes if they're super concerned, what I've even done is told them, okay, do you want me to let you know when I'm meeting with this person or that person? Because the anxiety that a person feels around that often is very high, especially if you're meeting with my boss. So letting them know helps diffuse that. So a few things not to do. Don't rush them through the initial telling you what happened. That is important to their process. Don't say things that puts them on the defensive. So you're going to have to ask questions about potentially some very emotional things. Your tone and how you approach those questions are important. So you want to diffuse their defensiveness, because the minute their defenses go up, you've lost your investigation. On the other hand, third thing, don't coddle them. So while you're being, understanding and empathetic, you are definitely not in it with them. Sharing with you their perception. There's a lot of things that are happening likely. You want to make sure that you're being somewhat neutral but compassionate here. So you don't want to jump on the bandwagon with them. Fourth thing, don't make promises you can't keep. For example, I have to tell you something, but I don't want you to do anything about it. No. When people tell you something and start that way, they absolutely do have an expectation of you doing something. I've done that to someone when I was new in my HR career. Do not do that. They're telling you for a reason. So don't say, yep, I'll totally keep it. I won't do anything. Just go ahead and tell me. It's really important then to put them at ease and get that information out of them, but do not sacrifice your integrity and lie to them about you will and will not do when you can't. You can't hold that. If you can't keep their name confidential in it, explain that you will do it as much as possible, but unfortunately some of the accusations they've made to investigate them, you have to disclose their name, but you will absolutely make certain that no one is, retaliating against them. And then the fifth thing, don't assume. Like I said, I think we all think that someone comes with a complaint expecting this very extreme response. Typically, that's not the case. Most people want an apology. They just don't want to deal with it again. So especially if it's an early feedback, early complaint, early concern, they just don't want it to escalate beyond there, which is the right thing. You want people to come to you early in the process. You don't want employees to wait until it's way far down the path, and then you're having to deal with a much bigger issue. So, really ask what they need to move forward, to feel better. If they don't know right away, follow up with them, and then, that's going to help when you're resolving the investigation. So ultimately, we really need to change our approach in how we view investigations. It needs to be a holistic approach as far as, we do this with everything else. When there are customer service issues, we don't just, automatically fire anyone where there's a customer service issue. Look at this, it's on purpose to deep dive into how did this issue come about and what are the ramifications of this issue, and you become better by resolving those issues. So workplace investigations, when done correctly, are doing the exact same. You are resolving the issues that are keeping you from being the better business that you strive to be, and that is key to any company's success. So hopefully this helps to answer some of your questions about reporting or actually receiving the claim. We'll be here next week talking with another tip on conducting quality workplace investigations. Otherwise, if you need some help, please reach out to Culture Engineered. We're happy to help where we can, and we'll see you next week. Thanks so much.